Hey YouTube land, Icons there, doing another action figure review, and today we're having a look at a Fwoosh Figures Icon series figure called Solitaire. Now, I picked this guy up a good while ago. There's a local e-tailer, I suppose is the best way, or seller, that were selling these. And so it was a bit cheaper than having to import them. Normally you have to import these figures, because I think they're mainly produced in the States, or they're manufactured in China, obviously, and then distributed out through the States. But I picked this guy up because he was on sale, and I hadn't gotten any of the Fwoosh stuff, so I just wanted to see what the design and overall figures are like. Now, I did do a review for their Bone Brawler figure, which is the skeleton warrior kind of thing, that's also in this scale. And I actually picked him up way after I picked up this guy. I just haven't gotten around to doing a review for this one. So now he is missing one accessory, and that one accessory I cannot find anywhere, but it is a duplicate of one of his other accessories, so I'll just mention it while in passing. But you have a look at the box. So on the box you have this window display with the Fwoosh logo behind. You got where his accessories are in the tray. So up here is the holster for the sheaths. The swords are actually in sheaths. He has two katanas. At least, yeah, I think they're double katanas. He has a pistol, which is here, a silencer for the pistol, and then he has two goggles. Now, one of which is on him, one of which I'm missing. I had it aside, and I just not sure where, but it was actually another figure was holding it, and I can't remember which figure I left it on. And then you have the figure here. But if I flip around to the back of the box, it just says box contents: solitaire figure, Wakasaki and sheath by 2, so they're Wakasakis. Goggles by 2, pistol at silencer 6-inch, made of plastic, multi-point of articulation, and you got all the legalese stuff on the bottom. Produced by Fwoosh LCC, made in China. So as I said, made in China, and probably distributed in the States. And then you have all their social media stuff, and then you have an image of the figure. Again, he's wearing the same goggles that I had left on him. So I'm going to move the box out of the way for the moment, and hopefully it won't cause an avalanche of other boxes that I have put aside. And we'll get into himself. So accessory wise, as I said, he does come with 2 pairs of goggles. He comes with this one with red lenses. He comes with an exact same pair. The only difference, it has green lenses as if they're like night vision kind of ones. He has that clippy thing, is the other accessory that's in the tray. That's for holding his swords. His swords are actually in sheaths. They're Wakasashis, and they both come out of the sheath. So he has the double Wakasashis, and they clip into, or they just slide into this thing here, which goes only up as far as there, and it holds them in place. And then there is a peg hole on the back. There is actually another peg hole up here further up on his back, but I think it's actually smaller than this peg, so it only fits into this one. This is probably for another accessory for a different figure, because this body is reused. I know that from just looking at all the figures that they did. They did a bunch of these kind of ninja guys, and a bunch of them had different options and accessories and whatnot. I think this guy is pretty much one of the more plain versions of the figure that they did, but he's actually not too bad. Again, he's fairly, simplistic on paint apps, except for the skull mask thing. In fact, is the skull mask thing on my one right? I think it is. Actually, it might be a bit off, just looking at the picture of the figure in the box. So if I bring in the box again, I'm not sure if you can see that, but the nose holes for the skull piece is actually up further. I think the paint apps on mine is actually off. The skull mask thing should be or the paint apps for the nose piece should be up about, yep, this will do. Should be up around here where his nose actually is, and I think they're a bit too far down on the mask. Could be just mine. It might be the way they all came out. It could be why they went on clearance so quickly, because of the defect with the paint mask on the mask. or the paint job on the mask, whichever way you want to call it. But he's not too bad. I'm going to pop these off because these do tend to fall off a bit. The peg isn't super secure. The goggles just fit on his head. They can fit over his eyes if you want. And his eyes are interesting in the sense that he doesn't actually have kind of standard pupils. He has these kind of blacked, whited out eyes. So I'm not sure if he's supposed to be sort of demonic or sort of supernatural of some kind, but he does have that going for him. His head is just a fairly plain balaclava head with that paint mask on it. His arms can rotate all the way around, can rotate out that much. Bicep swivel, double jointed elbows. He does have a hinge in the wrist. Now it's hard to see it when you have it. It does move, so there is a wrist joint and a hinge. But if you want to get in certain poses, you have to rotate it, similar to how the McFarlane figures have that kind of same joint. It's a small ball joint with a simple hinge, but depending on which way you want the arm to turn, or the hand to turn, so if you want the hand to turn that way, you have to do it that way, or up and down, depends on which way you want to do it. And so he's not too bad. He does have some web gear on as well, which is a little loose. It's not like the tightest fit, but it does fit on him. I would be wary over time, depending on where he's stored, that this could, because it's that rubbery material, it could snap and disintegrate. It will probably, you know, over time, it won't probably be good for it. There is an upper ab diaphragm. There is a waist one as well, I believe. It's very tight on mine. He does have a working holster with that pistol. In fact, I can't remember if this is the only one that comes with like pistol weapon. I think nearly everyone else in this line were all just melee. So he has that pistol with the silencer that can be attached to the front via a peg. As it just falls out as I try it again. It does have that look to it. Now, I wasn't sure which hand this was supposed to go in. I thought it was supposed to be for the right hand, so I did slice it. The right hand was it didn't have a dedicated trigger finger, so I did slice into it with a knife, so to give him a trigger finger, because otherwise it would be just sitting in his hand like so, with the fucking, excuse me, with the trigger outside of the hand, and it just looks really wrong. But then I noticed on his left hand it actually has that trigger finger. It's really hard to see, and I didn't slice this one. It's just I didn't notice it at first. So I believe he's supposed to be left-handed for his pistol hand, and I'm not sure if that's the same way of all the figures on this range. So fight with it to get it in. I'll leave the sensor off for now. It's a rubbery hand, so it is sometimes not going to fit in properly. Let's see if we can get something. Just poke up the hand with the trigger finger, so it goes into where it should go on the finger guard. Come on, yeah, I had it before with the finger going through where the trigger should be. There we go. It's a bit tough to do, but you can do it. So you can have him holding the pistol. Get it into the barrel. There we go. You can have him holding the pistol in his, what I assume is supposed to be his dedicated pistol finger. There is no real instructions in the box, so it was just guesswork really to figure out which one was which. I thought it was supposed to be this one, and I had forgotten to do the trigger finger, hence why I sliced that small bit. But unfortunately it's actually for the left hand. So the silencer does fit down here in this little area on the box, or on the holster, and then his pistol does fit in there, and they're not a bad fit. They're actually quite tight, so you can actually flop him upside down and it will not drop out. His hips can do the splits that much. His right is a little bit hindered by the holster. His left has far more range of movement. He does have thigh swivel, double jointed knees, boot cut, ankles, and peg holes in the bottom of his feet. He does have those kind of ninja boot things where you can see the toes, which is quite nice. And as I said, he's a fairly plain figure. He's just pretty much an all black plastic figure with a kind of grayish blue bluishy grey, you know, it's kind of more of a tanny grey, dry brushing over him. So a fairly just to define the muscular outline and the detailing on the pants. That's really all it does. And then he has that paint app on the front of his face. So all in all, he is a really good looking figure. I'm kind of happy enough I picked him up. I didn't pick up any of the other figures from this line because, as I said, this was the only one that they had locally. And the other ones I would have to pay crazy money for importing and stuff like that, which is not a great, is a bit of a deal breaker for me. If I can get something local and I like the look of it, I will. But if it's a, you know, if you have to pay duties, shipping and import fees and all that kind of stuff, it is a bit of a deal breaker for us fans of figures and stuff like that that are living abroad. But overall, he's quite nicely done and quite nicely put together. So I'm going to bring in Shadow Tracker from the G.I. Joe Classified line, so you can see how he stacks next to a kind of regular 6-inch figure or regular classified figure. He does come in just around 6 inches, so they are on scale with each other. And because I did a review literally moments ago, and at the time of this recording it will probably be different times where it's put up, here's the Cassian Andor figure from that heist, from the Andor TV series, from that heist disguise figure, where he's disguised as an Imperial, I wouldn't say officer, but an Imperial of some kind. But all in all, the Solitaire figure is a pretty solid figure, so he's actually not too bad. I do recommend picking up some of these guys. I don't know if anyone's had any real main QC issues. As I said, the only real one I can see is that skull piece is a little bit too low, sitting too low on the paintwork. But the overall figure, I hadn't had any QC issues that I can see. I know some people are a bit hesitant at picking up new lines from kind of unknown companies. This, I think, was around one of their first kind of dive into action figures that they did, so it wasn't like they weren't as well known. They were more, I think they were more well known for doing action figure reviews and stuff like that. They have their own website and they do have their own social media stuff, so I think people are more familiar with them doing that, and then they got into the figure line stuff. Kind of similar how, I think, is it Nacelle or is it Ramen, one of those two companies kind of started doing other stuff. Like I think they started doing statues and then have kind of branched off into doing action figures, and sometimes people are hesitant at picking up stuff from them because they don't know what to expect going in QC wise. But overall, I think this guy's pretty good. I'm just a bit bummed I cannot find where his night vision style green lens goggles have gone, but again, they're exactly the same goggle. They're exactly the same pair of goggles, just with green on the paint app instead of the red. So it's not missing out much on what's missing there. But overall, it is a really good figure, and I do recommend him. He would fit fairly nicely with Cobra figures as a kind of a Cobra assassin, ninja, whatever. I know the general Cobras are red ninjas, and Storm Shadow is their kind of dedicated leader guy. But he wouldn't be too bad a counterpoint for one of those as well. Or if you just wanted to use him as a kind of mercenary figure, you could use him as that as well. So overall, he's not a bad figure, and I do recommend grabbing him if you can. I said I picked up mine fairly cheap on clearance. I'm not sure the exact price they normally go for, but he wasn't too bad. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you stuck around for the whole lot. And as always, please feel free to like, comment and subscribe to my channel, and I hope you have a great day. Cheers, guys.